How's it going? Trey Clark here, as I usually am, and I'm going to jump right into this as I usually do. And I posted some stuff about the inverse squared law, how bright the moon should actually appear once you arrive there compared to its brightness from our perspective here on Earth. But you can do the math on that, and if the basic math isn't convincing you of anything, then it's not going to help anyway for me to elaborate on it. Just use the inverse squared law, and you can easily find out how bright, with a pen and paper, how bright the moon should be by the time you get there. And that's already on another video. I really want to dial into this Hasselblad camera that they used. Now, this was in the age of film. We didn't have even automatic anything. We didn't have autofocus, we didn't have auto aperture, we didn't have anything. Everything had to be, now we had the SLRs where you could, focus in and say, hey, that looks like a good shot. You could take a picture and hope for the best. And once you get good at it, it comes out kind of what it looks like in the lens, and then you make adjustments as you get better. Now, the Hasselblad camera it's chest mounted, okay? They have a helmet on, spacesuit that's fighting 10 to the negative 17th torr of a vacuum, something that would crush a freighter. And it's mounted right here. And they're walking around like this, and they're taking pictures. Hey, Bob, Neil, Buzz, they're doing this. Now they're wearing mittens, okay? They're wearing gloves that are in a vacuum. Try this. Manually do anything on a camera with mittens on, just oven mitts. Don't even worry about the vacuum and all that stuff, or just put like really thick gardening gloves or ski gloves, something like that, and try and maneuver around a camera. Now, these Hasselblad cameras did not have a viewfinder, okay, so you couldn't set up your shot, okay? You get down, you're walking around, you're doing this, and you just go, okay, that looks like it's 10 feet away, hope for the best. So either you've set your camera to a certain distance to get your focus right, and you're moving to what you're guessing on an incredibly bright lunar surface that we've never tested any kind of film camera on ever, that is brighter than anything we can find here on Earth, unless you point straight at the sun, is my guess, or a reflection of the sun. So you're sitting there doing this. There's no viewfinder, and you have mittens. Think about this. Just try and operate a remote control with ski gloves on. This is also, it's all manual, okay? There's no point and shoot. You have to get your aperture right. You have to get your shutter speed right. You have to get all your settings right. And let's say they did it without the spacesuit on. They set it ahead of time. They had to get it perfectly right, because there ain't no changing it once you get there. Yet we get these Time Magazine, 50th anniversary coffee book table pictures of these beautiful, perfectly lit, perfectly in focus pictures that just, I had them on my wall growing up. They're awesome. And just everything is just perfectly staged. It's before Photoshop, where you could just naturally crop stuff, and I'm sure they did some of that, if it were real. But no, they're walking around like this, mittens, where you literally couldn't even wind a watch. There's no way, just look at them. And it's in a vacuum, where everything it better be rigid, or you will be, you will find an ill fate, so to speak. So everything has to be rigid so it equalizes the pressure. So you've got fingers that can't hardly move. Sorry, I'm getting trolled here right now. You shouldn't be able to move very much. And then you're going to, as an astronaut, not a seasoned photographer, a military pilot that is a Freemason, somehow you are better than probably any photographer I've ever met as far as intuition in manual photography with mittens on a new surface with a light intensity that we are just guessing with, and you're getting those pictures. And by the way, if you do the math on the number of pictures they supposedly took, guess how many there were? One for every 9 seconds they were on the moon, the entire time. Let that sink in. This is by NASA. This isn't just me doing a little research and going, oh, I think this is probably up. There are a number of pictures versus the 3 days they spent on the moon. You divide them up, it's one picture every 9 seconds, okay? And there's some other anomalies, and I'm not even gonna get into the lighting and the fact that the target arrows are behind certain objects. Screw all that, because that can be, there are ways to explain that away. You cannot, I would love for anyone who thinks that I'm being an idiot right here to show me how you can take a camera, put it on manual, that has focus and everything, and just put it, right above your belly and walk around in our normal earthly atmosphere lighting, and then do it aiming at lights, aiming at, just aiming at a light, just get it focused to where it looks like a light instead of just this blaring thing, and see if you can get anything like that. I don't care if you're experienced, if you're a professional photographer or not. Spend 3 days doing that, take 9 pictures, or take a picture every 9 seconds in the worst lighting conditions possible without checking them out first, because it was the first time we went to the moon. And the only way we could figure out how to do settings for the camera is to use the inverse squared law. There's no other way to find your f-stop, which was 5.6 on this Hasselblad camera. And that's a normal setting for a decently lit room, not this blaring light source that should fry your retinas if you just blinked open for 1 second. That's how intense the moon should be if it's that bright here from 240,000 miles away. So you're walking around, picture after perfect picture after perfect picture after perfect picture. You would need 10 years of photography school to just get 10 good pictures over 3 days that were worth putting in a fucking coffee table book, yet they're all just picture perfect, pun intended. And so really look at the camera. Look at how hard it would be to operate a manual camera in mittens. Do it underwater. Just get a fake one and see what you blindfold yourself, because you can't look at it. You got a helmet on. There's no viewfinder. It's just manual guesswork. You make your basic settings. You look around and go, okay, that looks pretty cool. And you can get pictures, but that's not what this camera was made for. This camera is not made to do coffee table books. And if you're a scientist or a physicist and you don't know much about photography, this is my area to tell you to go fuck yourself, and you go back to school and you learn a little bit, okay? Quit acting like you know what you're talking about, because I know how hard it is to take a perfect picture in a well-lit room. I mean, all the things that go involved with it, even with all the program settings that we have now. Blindfold me, put mittens on me, and put a camera with no viewfinder on it, and you're gonna ask me to walk around town and just get good pictures of people? Fuck you. You're not trying. Try harder. Cheers, guys.